All right, today we are diving into the absolutely incredible detective story behind the weight loss drugs that are, well, completely changing the world. It's a story that's got everything: a huge medical mystery, a brilliant scientific hack, and, believe it or not, an unsung hero. So let's get right into it. So what if the key to fighting one of the biggest health crises of our time, what if that key just disappeared from your body in a matter of minutes? I mean, seriously, for years, this was the exact maddening problem that scientists were up against. They'd found this amazing natural signal in our bodies that could crush appetite and control blood sugar. But it had this one huge fatal flaw. It was like a ghost. It would appear in our bloodstream and then, poof, gone.
And that brings us right to the heart of the mystery, the enigma of GLP-1. This is where our investigation really begins, with this incredibly powerful but super fleeting hormone. A molecule that had so much promise, if only they could figure out how to make it stick around.
So, let's meet the main character in our story, GLP-1. What is it? Well, it's a natural hormone that your gut releases after you eat, and its job is basically to send out two really important messages. One goes to your pancreas and says, hey, time to release some insulin. And the other goes to your brain and says, all right, we're full now, you can stop eating. I mean, on paper, it's the perfect solution for tackling both diabetes and obesity, right? But, and this is a huge but, here's the paradox that just stumped everybody for so long. On the one hand, GLP-1 is an absolute powerhouse. It's responsible for something like 70% of our insulin response after a meal. But then, on the other hand, its half-life is less than 2 minutes. Less than 2 minutes. It gets completely shredded by enzymes so fast that, as a medicine, it's useless. Think about it. How on earth are you supposed to make a drug out of something that vanishes before it even has a chance to do its job?
Okay, so this brings us to a really fascinating part of the story, the forgotten pioneer. Because here's the thing, the first huge clue to cracking this puzzle was actually found decades ago. But the scientist behind that discovery, she was almost completely written out of history.
Her name is Svetlana Moshav, and for years and years, her absolutely essential work in this field just wasn't recognized. Her fight just to get the scientific record straight is a huge, huge part of this entire story. I mean, we can't overstate this. Moshav's work was absolutely critical. She's the one who figured out the exact active part of the GLP-1 hormone, the piece that actually does all the heavy lifting. Let me be clear, without her foundational discovery, the drugs we know today, like Ozempic and Wegovy, they just wouldn't exist. Period. And yet for so long she was dismissed as just a junior scientist or an assistant when she was an independent investigator. She even had to go through a whole legal battle just to get her name put on the patents as a co-inventor for her own discovery. All right, so now we get to Section 3, cracking the code. Moshav's work had given scientists the target. They knew what to aim for. But the biggest challenge was still on the table. How do you solve that vanishing hormone problem? How do you make GLP-1 stick around long enough to actually work as a medicine? The solution they came up with was, and I mean this, pure genius. They called it a molecular hitchhiker strategy, and it's brilliant. Okay, step 1, find a long-lasting vehicle that's already driving around in the bloodstream. Step 2, create a little hitch to attach the super fragile GLP-1 molecule onto that vehicle. And step 3, well, the vehicle then acts like a bodyguard, protecting its cargo, GLP-1, from getting destroyed. And just like that, you could extend its life from a couple of minutes to a few days. So what was this magical vehicle? It was a protein called human serum albumin. And it's perfect. It's one of the most common proteins in our blood. It's basically a natural delivery service that our body already uses. And it has a half-life of several weeks. It was the perfect long-haul bus, just waiting for a passenger.
And the hitch they designed to connect them? It was a special fatty acid chain. By sticking this chain onto the GLP-1 molecule, the scientists basically gave it a permanent bus pass to ride on the albumin express. This kept it safe and sound, shielding it from all those enzymes that were just waiting to tear it apart.
This brings us to our next part, the great discovery, semaglutide. You see, this whole hitchhiker concept was amazing, and it led to a first-generation drug called liraglutide. It worked, but you had to inject it every single day. It was a massive step, for sure, but the real game changer, the discovery that would blow the doors wide open, that came from perfecting this idea, taking it to the next level to create semaglutide.
And you can really see the evolution right here. You go from liraglutide, the first attempt, which was a once-a-day shot, to semaglutide, which is a once-a-week shot.
And believe me, that leap wasn't just about making it more convenient. No. It was about totally mastering the science, the molecular engineering to build a much stronger, much more stable, and much more effective molecule.
So how'd they pull it off? This is where the science gets really, really cool. They made a couple of key tweaks. First, they tweaked the GLP-1 molecule itself, basically giving it some armor to make it more resistant to those enzyme attacks. Then, they designed a better hitch. It was longer and stronger, so it could grab onto that albumin bus way more tightly. It was this perfect balance of defense and a stronger grip that created semaglutide. And the result? A drug that was so effective, it led to nearly twice the weight loss of the drug that came before it.
So this whole journey of discovery, the results have been absolutely historic. But it also shines a really bright light on the complicated and sometimes unfair realities of who gets the credit and who gets the reward in science.
Take a look at this number. Over $1 billion. That's not the total. That's the estimated global sales for semaglutide every single month. This thing's on track to be one of the biggest blockbuster drugs in history.
And this number? 0. That is how much of that billion-a-month windfall Svetlana Mozhov sees. The foundational patents that she had to fight tooth and nail just to get her name on, they expired a long, long time ago. So even though her work made this entire multi-billion-dollar industry possible, she gets absolutely none of the financial rewards.
And really, that just leaves us with one final, pretty heavy thought. The story of semaglutide is, without a doubt, a massive triumph of science. It's an incredible solution to a really complex medical mystery. But it also forces you to ask, right? Behind every single great discovery like this, how many other pioneers are still standing in the shadow?